Well, good afternoon, everyone. Here we are. My name is David Clark, and I am the president of the Pennsylvania Grade Crude Oil Coalition. Thank you so much for coming today. Like the women and men standing behind me, I am a Pennsylvania small business person. My family owns and operates a second-generation family oil and gas business operating conventional wells in Pennsylvania. Just like the other members of the Pennsylvania Grade Crude Coalition, I drill conventional shallow oil wells in much the same fashion as Colonel Edwin Drake did in 1859 when he first discovered crude oil in Titusville, Pennsylvania. He captured the attention of the world at that time to this useful and important product. Today, Pennsylvania still produces the highest quality crude oil in the world and takes a big step in I'm going to get back to my notes. Big step in supplying high-quality grade crude oil in all sorts of products. If you have ever worn clothes, driven a car, heated your home, worn cosmetics, or used a computer, you've experienced the benefits of Pennsylvania grade crude. Please understand that conventional operators live where they drill. Many of our wells are on property that we own. Conventional wells and their owners have been an indigenous part of our communities in Pennsylvania for generations. Many of our wells are in our neighborhoods, places where our families shop, where our children attend school, and where we worship. We fish, we swim, we boat in crisp, clear, clean mountain streams and lakes that lay adjacent to the wells that we own. Pennsylvania's conventional industry and development of crude oil and natural gas have given our small communities and villages across our state sustainable and meaningful quality of life that enable our families to continue to grow and to prosper. I want to thank you for coming today. I also want to thank the legislators that have gathered here and their incredible support of our industry. They recognize and understand this small yet highly productive conventional oil and gas industry. They know the great strides that we all make to practice good environmental stewardship of our natural resources. And they see the resulting economic contribution made by one of Pennsylvania's oldest continuing industrial activity. I want to also thank our partners in completion of this economic impact study of which you are about to hear. We are deeply indebted to the ARG refiners, operators of the nation's oldest oil refinery, certainly the oldest in the Commonwealth. I'd also like to thank the McKean County Industrial Development Council, the McKean County Office of Economic Development, the North Central Pennsylvania Regional Planning and Development Commission. Without the support of these important organizations, we would not be able to present to you the empirical data that quantifies the impact of the conventional drilling in Pennsylvania. Thank you. I encourage you to listen closely to the results of this study recently compiled by eConsult Solutions of Philadelphia regarding the direct and indirect contributions made by the conventional industry to our state's economy. Because of the sudden and swift growth of the Marcellus shale industry in Pennsylvania, known as the unconventional oil and gas industry, our conventional industry, much smaller in numbers, is often confused with the much larger, more complex shale industry. Conventional drilling is much different than Marcellus shale. And today's release of economic data is designed to help all Pennsylvanians understand the conventional industry better and to distinguish who we are and what we do as an industry. At this time, I would like to introduce our first guest speaker of the day, Chairwoman of the House Oil and Gas Caucus. Please welcome House Republican Caucus Secretary Donna Oberlander.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Dave, and thank you, board members of the PGC and members of the PGC. It is an honor to be able to speak to you briefly today about the report on economic development of the conventional well and oil and gas industry. I want to just say that, first of all, I do represent Clarion County, parts of Armstrong, and parts of Forest County. I was born and raised in Clarion County, and this industry has been a long-time economic generator for our area. The report, as presented, is right there, and I will tell you that having read through it, it really just solidifies and really tells exactly what we already knew, that this conventional oil and gas industry is an economic generator for our communities. It is the leveler for our playing field so that we have the family-sustaining jobs, we have the ability to put our kids through school, to purchase things in the grocery store, to buy our houses, and to worship in our areas. And just a few of the facts that were presented very succinctly in the report. $1.4 billion is the annual economic impact of this industry. $1.4 billion. That is a lot of money. 5,600 jobs are in the industry or supported by the industry. I'll repeat that, 5,600 jobs. And $17 million come into the Commonwealth's coffers each year from this industry. This is certainly an industry that we need to remember as regulations are enforced, as regulations are created, and we need to make sure that we are actually talking to the people who live there, work there, and understand the industry before making other changes that would create hardships for them. Again, it is an honor and a privilege to be part of this press conference, to know and work with these good people, and I want to again just say thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Donna. Up next, I would like to welcome another great friend of the conventional oil and gas industry, and also the representative that hosts our the oldest operating refinery in the Commonwealth. So with that said, Representative Marty Cowser.
Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with you and to stand with all these fine folks to announce the release of this report. And I have to tell you, the report speaks volumes. It speaks volumes about the economic impact of this particular industry in Pennsylvania and all the jobs that are produced. When you think about 5,600 jobs from one industry, it's tremendous. The jobs created by all the producers, the jobs created by all these small businesses, the jobs created by the American Refining Group, the oldest continuously operating refinery in the world. And at ARG alone, there are 450 jobs just in McKean County. 450 jobs just in McKean County, and statewide, that's the economic impact from that is 540 jobs statewide. So a tremendous economic impact from that one employer and from this conventional oil and gas industry. But I have to say, as we're looking at the economic impact, we've got to make sure that our regulatory agencies don't screw this up, because we've seen in the past agencies like the Department of Environmental Protection coming forward with overly burdensome regulations that hamper and hinder the industry. This is an industry that is highly regulated now. The legislature spoke loud and clear last year when we halted the Chapter 78 regulations that would have had a devastating impact on this industry. So today, we're here to announce this report that will show a tremendous economic impact for the Commonwealth, and I'm glad to work with everyone who's standing here and everyone who's part of the Pennsylvania Grade Crude Coalition and the conventional oil and gas industry in support of the jobs, in support of the industry that's providing thousands of jobs across the Commonwealth. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Cowser. Another staunch supporter of the conventional oil and gas industry in Pennsylvania is the chairwoman of the Senate Oil and Gas Caucus. Please help me in welcoming Senator Camera Bartolotta.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dave. I can just keep reiterating all of the points that they made, but you know what? We really need to focus in on regulation, over-regulation. And in Pennsylvania, we do a horrible job of supporting the gas and oil industry, unconventional or conventional, and almost any other industry. It's getting more and more and more difficult to appease the gods that be. So we really need to focus on the benefits, economic and otherwise. This is a remarkable report, and we need this because facts and figures and numbers speak volumes. All of our voices here, sometimes they fall on deaf ears, but facts and figures make a huge difference, and we need to consider those things. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the map over here of the Commonwealth, and you'll see all of those counties are affected by this industry. This isn't an industry that builds a factory in one location, gets a huge tax break, and moves out of the Commonwealth in 10 years. That's not what's happening here. These are people, families, generations that stay in the same location many times, and they build their homes, they build their lives, and they build a history and a future right where they're drilling. So those are things we need to consider. It's not in one location, it's Commonwealth-wide. And just in my little corner of the world, this industry brings over $80 million a year to Greene County. $80 million a year. Very quietly, very unassuming, but we all need to be here to support this industry, to make sure that it flourishes, to make sure that those families stay in their communities and make those communities strong and have their families or extended families able to be around each other for generations to come. So I am so honored to be here. I'm so proud of the work that you do, and I hope you all know that I've got your back. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bartolotta. And thank you for bringing up the indigenous nature of what we do, much like the family farm that passes from generation to generation. Thank you very much. Up next, I'd like to invite another member of the Senate that has been a wonderful supporter in educating everyone in Harrisburg of the value of our industry and the importance. Senator Scott Hutchison.
Thank you very much. It's very important that we come here today and talk about the very positive things coming from the conventional oil and gas industry here in Pennsylvania. As someone who's grown up in the town of Oil City, within miles of the very first petroleum well ever drilled up at Drake Well, it's easy for someone like me, to take for granted the economic impact of this industry. But I'm so happy that we have now put it in black and white to share with my colleagues, to share with regulators, and to share with the public the family-sustaining jobs that we're talking about, and the economic impact, and the service that this industry provides, which is providing an energy source and a vital petrochemical industry that's critical to our state and our nation. So thank you for helping us highlight that today with this report. I think it is also fitting that we stand here in the main rotunda, the crucible of democracy, as I call it. And as we look around really quickly, 10 feet from me on the floor is a tile mosaic depicting the oil industry. And not only that, one of the 4 main murals in here in the main capitol, in the rotunda area, is the Spirit of Light mural, showing the critical nature that the petroleum industry has played for over 150 years here in Pennsylvania and here in the United States of America. So my thank you to the hardworking men and women who go to work each and every day. They're not asking for handouts. They want to support their families and support their communities, take care of themselves, and make a better Pennsylvania without government being in the way. So thank you, and it's a pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you, Senator. This is a very exciting day. We are very proud of what we do and the heritage of what our predecessors have done in the past in bringing energy to Pennsylvania. The person on our board that really spearheaded this effort, and the thanks should go to Wally Phillips, who actually serves as the treasurer of PGCC. He's a very active board member, and he spearheaded the concept of this economic study, and he is the person that's actually assured its implementation and pushed it over the finish line. In all respects, he is the leader that brings us to this moment where we can share these results with you. I would like to invite Wally to come and give you a brief overview of the study. Come on.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, and welcome to all the men and all the women here from the conventional industry. It's great to see you all here today, as well as many of the supporters from both chambers of the legislature. As Dave mentioned, my name is Wally Phillips, PGCC board member, and I'm a conventional operator from Allegheny County. I'm going to share with you just some prepared remarks. It shouldn't take too many minutes. As Dave mentioned, it's a truly important day for our industry, as the just completed economic impact study focuses solely on our conventional oil and gas industry, which has operated in the Commonwealth, as many have mentioned here, for over a century. No report like this, prior to this data being supplied today, was available to the legislature to allow them to be able to make decisions regarding our long-standing, multi-generational family businesses. Most of the industry group that are here today are not new to the oil and gas industry in Pennsylvania. I myself, like many others standing here today, have spent almost 40 years drilling and producing shallow conventional wells. We operate in 30 different townships, 8 different Southwest counties in the Commonwealth. I, along with my wife Sue and business partner, operate a second-generation small business that employs local people from these counties, and we are proud to continue our work there as residents of the Commonwealth. As you can see from the shaded areas in our posters that are here and behind me, the bulk of our producing region are in the northwest and southwest counties of Pennsylvania, where our conventional oil and gas drilling activity generates substantial economic impact throughout the Commonwealth by utilizing local vendors, employing our county residents, and paying wages to our workers. As determined by this independent report prepared by eConsult Solutions, the direct activity of the conventional oil and gas activities and the indirect spillover activity generate $1.4 billion. It's been mentioned here several times today, but it's a staggering amount that we didn't have the ability to quantify before. It's quite an accomplishment, and all of you are a part of that, generating that number today. Unfortunately, like never before, the low commodity prices for crude oil and natural gas in 2016, coupled with the weight of overregulation, threatened the very existence of our conventional industry. I'm proud to say that although the challenges still remain, as an industry, we are survivors. That being said, regrettably, some of our fellow operators have folded under the heavy financial burden of this past year. But as anticipated, prices are starting to recover. The study results will surely help increase the understanding by many of the legislature in the differences between conventional and shale industries, an understanding which we hope will continue to yield separate regulations for these two distinctly different industry segments, which will allow our conventional industry to stay strong and grow again. With improved pricing that is happening in 2017, we shallow well operators will continue our mission to advance the local economies where we live and support energy independence by promoting conventional oil and gas production in a safe and environmentally sound manner. Steve Mullen is here today, the principal of eConsult Solutions, and he'll explain just how important and irreplaceable our conventional industry is to these mostly rural communities. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge at this time the extra effort of several PGCC members who assisted eConsult Solutions in verifying the accuracy of the data used to determine the economic impact results of the study. Robert Esch, Vice President of American Refining Group in Bradford, PA. Sherry Gary from the McKean County Office of Economic Development, and Ray Follador, owner of Falseed Energy Consulting, who contributed many hours verifying the DEP supplied data for the study. At this time, Ray has just a few remarks to make regarding the study. Thank you all very much. Sorry for
Thank you, Wally. As he said, my name is Raymond Follador. I'm a petroleum geologist with over 35 years of industry experience. I have a few brief remarks here relating to my contribution of this study. As a member of the PGCC, I was asked to verify the DEP website information that was brought together by the folks at eConsult for parts of this study. And I found some misentries that were made their way into the data, which I would characterize as keyboard data entry errors, which when corrected assured the accuracy of the economic impact calculations made by Stephen Mullen and his staff. This report is an in-depth study, 61 pages of data supporting it, and I encourage everybody to at least read the executive summary and the introduction, about 7 pages. And within these few pages, eConsult thoroughly details and distinguishes the significant differences between our shallow well conventional industry and the deeper unconventional shell industry. It is necessary to distinguish the difference between these two sectors of the industry in order to construct appropriate regulations that are proportional to size and scope of each industry. This report lists by county, 19 counties as a fact, the volumes of conventional gas and oil produced. Indiana, Greene, Armstrong, and Westmoreland County lead the gas producing counties in conventional operations. Now that McCain, Warren, Forest, Elk, Crawford, and Venango County are the 6 top oil producing counties in the study. And in closing, I would just like to note that there are approximately 130,000 producing, or should I say active oil and gas wells in our Commonwealth. 92% of these wells, or 120,000 of them, are conventional oil and gas wells, which supports the rich history that our industry has in the Commonwealth. Lastly, of these 120,000 conventional wells, over 90% of them, or over 107,000 of them, are located in the 19 counties outlined in this report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. The person most responsible for yielding the methodologies, data collection, and measurements that yield the study results is no stranger to analyzing and creating sound and successful economic development strategies. His resume is full of accomplishment in this area, whether it's his stellar educational preparation at the University of Pennsylvania and at Harvard, his work on various high-profile economic development projects around the nation, or his leadership as former Director of Commerce for the City of Philadelphia. Steve Mullen has no peer in understanding and promoting successful development of the economy. Steve is nationally recognized for his great work, and those of us living in the rural communities in Pennsylvania are delighted that he was able to guide and to conduct this important project. Now he too understands the importance that our conventional industry means to the economy of Pennsylvania. I would like to ask Steve to come and give you the results of our study. Steve?
Thanks, Dave, and everyone. First, I should note Andrea Menino and Gabby Connor are the people who on our staff who worked at this. They're the ones who are pulling the cord, and you can't even see their lips move when I speak. So I do want to thank you very much for the opportunity to both conduct this study and to share its release with you today. A couple of things to note. First is that the legislators and the industry representatives speaking here earlier did give the main important points of our study. But I do want to focus a little bit here because Dave said I'm limited to 3 hours. I do want to spend a little bit of time here to mention to talk about some of the nuances of those that I think are very, very important. I will tell you when Arthur and Dave and Wally called us last year and said we'd like you to take a look at the oil and gas industry. Of course, like even though I know a bit about this world, I thought of the big world that most human beings don't separate things out. And it was basically maybe a half-hour conversation on the phone when I said there really are two different industries here, and we'd be very happy to see if we can help you find out the scale of the conventional industry here. So as it's been noted here, our estimate is that the overall impact of the conventional industry is $1.4 billion and supporting 5,600 jobs throughout the state. I think it's I think it's very important to note that the bulk of that economic impact and that employment is found in the 19 counties that we've identified and that we examined as a unit within a subunit within the state here. Very important to take a look at those and the distribution, the geographic distribution here. Those counties tend to be lower in income. All of them have suffered population loss, and they have higher unemployment rates than the state as a whole. So it's the real driver on our analysis is that the impacts of the conventional oil and gas industry is really disproportionately heavily felt in these 19 counties. And so whereas the opportunity in the other places as industries fade and other industries take off, a lot of these local communities and local jurisdictions in these counties don't really have another alternative and opportunity. I will note two things as was mentioned here earlier. Our $1.4 billion does not include an additional couple $100 million of impact for the refinery. The refinery and the industry is completely and utterly linked here in Pennsylvania for Pennsylvania's economy. And there's also an issue about that we also took a look at, and that is orphaned and abandoned wells and unplugged wells here in the state of Pennsylvania. Very costly effort to close literally thousands of wells here. So part of our story is, in this industry, in these counties, we want to make sure that the scale of this industry is such that we want to be careful about the loss of industry, loss of employment, and loss of local revenues, basically loss of local economy as well as local tax revenues that might occur if this industry is harmed in the future. And I'll note one other thing here too. As we looked at this, one of the ways that we measured the value is the value of the going forward, the future income generated by the reserves here. If we end up with in a case where we end up plugging or closing these wells with reserves in them, that is a loss of wealth that is 10 times, 20 times the amounts that we're talking about in terms of annual operating impact. So the state has so in these counties, the state's economic impact, the negative impact of loss of this industry or diminution of this industry could be very, very significant for these towns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve, for your tremendous work on this study. The businesses, the employees, and the families that make up the conventional oil and gas industry owe you a deep debt of gratitude. We're all proud of and very appreciative of the fine work of you and your team at eConsult Solutions. We are grateful. Thank you. At this time, I and any of our speakers will be available to answer questions from the press upon release. This concludes our presentation today. Thank you for joining us and for your continued support of the Pennsylvania's conventional oil and gas industry. Thank you.